Hello. What's going on, everybody? Oh, man. Always something. I feel like I'm always starting streams like this. I think everything's working, though. I was on schedule. Now I have a freaking iron sitting here, and we need to start the stream with some ironing. But, yeah, if you can't tell, this was a little impromptu. But I went to get started, and it was rejecting my passwords for restream, so yeah, that happened. I didn't realize I had not logged into that for a significant period of time, and I had been using like a security token for my validation, and I guess it expired uh, sometime between yesterday and today. But that is what happened. So I had to reset it, and the email that I had linked to it, I couldn't recall the password of either. And I had a cheat sheet around here with everything on it, but I can't find it. So yeah. All right. Ironing complete. Are you all titillated by my ironing? And I don't have my screen over here. This is a little more behind the scenes than I had anticipated. Ouch. But yeah, I saw you guys were talking a little bit about Tom's chat or stream chat the other day. Holy shit. Holy shit. Props for Tom for somehow, I don't know if he was on like the front page of YouTube streaming site or what happened, but yeah. Holy moly. Brought out all the Nazi trolls and the racist trolls and all those lovely types. I think we're kind of going here. At least I know my router password. I did change that. I did change that if anybody had seen that stream. Password, not the most secure password. All right, let's get this out of here before I burn myself again. But today, this stream is going to be even less professional than my streams generally are. Uh, you had it open since yesterday. Holy hell. But yeah, today, I get a lot of questions about how I make videos, and I don't know why, because I'm not that damn good at it. But I was going to go over some of the things I do because I have to get some footage here for a video. And I printed these things out. These are lock picks. It's supposed to be a card that you snap them off of, but they kind of snap off when you pull them off the build plate. And I wanted to get some footage of me trying these, which I kind of already know how it's going to go. And I have them printed out in a variety of materials. I have uh, a natural PLA, which I'm hoping is stronger than a regular PLA because it doesn't have any additives. And we have some of the I think this is the polishable stainless. I think this might be the rustable iron. But I was hoping that might be a strong PLA filament to try. And then I also tried some of the this is the PC Plus, the polycarbonate from Polymaker. And I'm hoping I assume this is going to be the strongest of all of these three materials, but I think all of them are going to be pretty piss poor lockpicks, unfortunately. But we kind of have to go through the process of demonstrating that, even though we know that's probably the case. So, I have some actual lockpicks. I have some actual locks. Got like a nice little variety. I have a cheap ass padlock, which should be the easiest to pick. We have a shitty master lock, which are also very easy to pick. And then just to drive home the point that these are probably not a valid replacement for actual lockpicks, I have two Brinks locks that are a little bit tougher to pick, and I'm almost certain we're going to break the picks on those. But again, we kind of have to go through it to demonstrate that. Is my password 123? It is not. I have some not so secure passwords, but they're not quite that insecure. Metal beats plastic. Well, the to me it's like it's a complete like failure before we even try, because even in the world of like lockpicks, like I think I have one or two cheap picks in here, and then the rest are like, this is, well, that's not it. This is a pick I actually made for my grandmother because it has a big handle, which is funny. I made a lockpick set for my grandmother, but I did. And this is one of my primary picks when I sit down and actually pick locks. And this is like a high quality like carbon steel. And even like some of these cheaper ones, this is just like a cheap ass spring steel. And even this is kind of a bad lockpick because it bends. So this made out of PLA is not going to fare very well, but we're going to give it a try. We're going to try our damnedest to actually pick some locks with them. Because I love the idea. I love the concept of having picks like these, but I don't think in practice they're going to be very effective. I think they're going to be ineffective. They're not going to have an effect. In my description, it says we're going to print a crossbow. Damn it. Does it really? Because it's all updated to me. Oh, I see. The file's still linked there. Okay. We are, well, I guess let me go ahead and paste a link to these lockpicks. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll get started. Yeah, I don't have that window open. So, does anybody know of any material that might work with 3D printing? I don't know of anything that's like super rigid, just because I haven't like experimented with that much stuff. It also, I don't like, it's a little bit of false advertisement because these things don't actually stay on the card. Is the stream working? It, like, the stream is not functioning to me. Let me refresh that. Ah, there it is. Okay, there's my stupid face. Alrighty. And did that update the file? Is that the correct file? It looks like it. But yeah, there's the file we're going to be printing. And as you can see, it's a little set. There's two different picks on here. There's like a I guess like a sweep pick and a little triangle. And there's a little tension wrench, but I doubt that's going to work at all. I don't know what the hell people think you're going to pick with these, but I had some people ask me about them. Because, like, there's locks like these where I don't think you can even get the picks in them. And this isn't that special of a lock. But, like, ones like these that have fairly simple shielding on them, you can't really get in there without something that's super thin. Oh, that is bright as hell. Let us tend to that quick. I don't know why that's super bright. Holy crap. Oh, there it goes. Okay. OBS is so weird sometimes. Like I didn't change any of the settings, but see how that has like just a little bit of shielding on there, and I think that's enough to keep us from even getting these picks in this lock. And this is a fairly standard master lock. It's a little more expensive than the regular like cheap ass blue kind, but certainly not like a high security lock by any stretch of the imagination. But anyway, if I've never talked about it before, the actual camera that I do videos with is this DSLR. This is a Nikon D5500 that I've had for a little while now. I actually got this to do some other projects with before I started this channel. My window situation is the suck right now. But this is a nice camera. I got it when I was messing with photography more than video, and the video capabilities of it are okay. If you've seen any of the videos I've done, the quality is okay. I've made some mistakes in the videos I've done with as far as like color correction and stuff like that, but overall this is a solid camera. The lens is clean, so we're good to go. The battery is charged. And if anybody's wondering, this is an 18 to 140 millimeter lens. It's got a moderate amount of zoom, but we never really use it for any videos like this. And what we're going to have to do is, I guess I'm going to switch. I'm trying to think how we want to do this. The first thing we need to do is like my normal setup. My normal setup is into the mixer over here, right? This is a mixer that I happen to get very, very cheap on eBay. I have like an addiction to buying things on eBay. If they're grossly undercosted. I really lucked out and happened to get this mixer for I think $100 because the guy who sold it listed it incorrectly. And the vast majority of the time, I only have this single mic, and sometimes this other the cable's hanging here. Sometimes when I'm over at the desk, I have a second microphone over there, and I think I've shown you guys these mics before. These are Behringer Ultra Voice XM 1800S microphones, and they're super cheap. I think you can get a set of 3 of these that has a nice hard shell case for $40. So this is like a $13 mic, something like that, something crazy cheap. And like I think that's the normal MSRP, and I think I got them a little bit cheaper than that because they were used. But solid mics, they're a clone of one of the most common like vocal mics that like pop stars and stuff use, so they have pretty good performance. They're dynamic mics. They're not like, if you've ever seen somebody streaming that uses a Blue Yeti, that's a condenser mic. And when I first started, I had one of those, but I hated it. Like if a cricket farts 15 feet away, that microphone will pick it up. Even when you have it on what's called a cardioid pattern, which should just be picking up stuff directly in front of it. But it has a tendency to pick up like everything. But I know it's like tough for people to pick mics. Like a lot of people were like me. I just saw everybody using those Blue Yetis because they're kind of sexy looking mics, and they always seem to sound good, which they do sound good. But they are not really suited to a lot of different things. Like if you're gonna be like me and you have like a printer going and other stuff, like my computer's sitting here with a fan that's kind of loud, it's probably not the best. Probably not the best option for you because you're going to be fighting background noise like constantly, and you're going to have to do like post-processing on your audio all the time. Okay, so the description did update. Tom did a test with bullets recently. That'd be kind of interesting to see. All right, we're kind of sorted out. I ran up and down the stairs 3 times. I'm still kind of out of breath because I'm not a fat bastard anymore, but I'm certainly not in shape, especially at the tail end of the winter here where I haven't really done much. Okay. So what the first little hurdle we're going to have to overcome is keeping the stream audio going while using this mixer to also pipe audio into my camera. And I have a little like extended not RCA, 3.5 millimeter headphone cable here, which we're going to be putting into my DSLR. And I might not even use this audio, but I do want to go ahead and capture it while I'm shooting some of these shots, because why not? And how we're actually going to accomplish that is... how are we going to accomplish that? I guess we can cap the same audio. I was going to set up a second mic, but I guess we don't really have to do that. And all I'm going to do is... almost every mixer on the planet has... like normally this is hooked up with USB going into my computer and going to OBS and stuff like that. And that's how you're hearing my beautiful voice right now. But what we're actually going to do is tap into... I was going to use the monitor out, but if we go ahead and use the headphone out here, that shouldn't have any effect on the audio that you guys are hearing. But... there we go. If you see on the DSLR now, we have... it might not focus because I'm kind of close. It's a little hot right now, but you can see when I stop talking, we do have the audio like piped into the camera now. And I used to do it separately. I used to kind of like capture the audio in Audacity on my computer and record the video separate and then sync them later, but it was a pain in the ass and you don't really gain anything by doing it that way. So like in my camera, you end up coming in here to the movie settings, the microphone, and then going to manual sensitivity and setting it the entire way down. That way you don't have any of the cameras like preamps flavoring the audio because they usually sound like shit. And we'll just adjust the headphone volume here on this knob. And it looks like even when I talk loud, our levels are okay. So the audio in the camera should be okay now. And I won't really get into settings in the camera. That's like a whole other bag of worms. You see that I guess that thing we linked had a remix. I didn't see that. We can take a look at it here. I don't really think, because I have a second setback here where I tried to expand these on the x-axis to make the shafts a little bit like broader. But it's still just like, they're so weak, I just cannot fathom how you'd remix this in a way that would actually make it function as a usable lockpick. The only one that I think might work is the one little squiggly one. We might be able to like jimmy the lock with that, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. That little, I think they're called a worm. But I'm very, very doubtful that we'll be able to accomplish anything with these. But I think it'll make a cool video, nonetheless. So what are we doing here? Okay, so the one thing that's going to be a little bit tough is I need to steal this tripod to mount the camera. So I'm going to try to find something here to replace this stand with. But I don't know what. I'm going to grab something and be right back. We're getting the painter's tape out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this cam and we're just going to put it on this light stand that I have that I don't really use. And just sort of tape it on here. for the time being. And reclaim our tripod. And then try to reset that view to essentially where it was before. That's serviceable. All right, so got a tripod here. I remember I've done some lockpicking videos in the past on another kind of channel I experimented with a while ago. And it's really, really tough to get angles that make sense for lockpicking. So, like, setting up this shot might be a little more difficult than setting up most shots some of you might end up doing if you record videos. These are a bit of a pain. And this is a relatively inexpensive tripod. I think the retail value of these is like $40, and I think I got it for like $25 on eBay, like usual. So we're gonna take our camera. We have this little shoe mount, not a shoe mount, but a little like speed mount that we just screw in the bottom of our DSLR, and then it lets us mount and dismount it relatively quickly from our little thing here. Now, like, this primary view is going to get a little cluttered, but you won't see any of that in the shots that we're going to take with the DSLR. So, you can kind of see here we're casting shadows where we want to record, which is not good, obviously. Shadowy video is going to look ridiculous. So we're going to shift this light and this light a little bit. Or, I don't know. I guess we'll have to experiment. I think we're going to have to move the camera a little bit. All right. There we go. That's not too bad. We're not casting super ridiculous shadows here. You can see everything got quite a bit brighter because we moved everything closer. Have I ever posted my settings for Simplify? I don't think I ever have. I keep forgetting where to look. I don't think I've ever actually posted those directly. There's been a lot of videos where we kind of went over what I was using at the time. But I tweak things so frequently that I hesitate to just like release is that bright there? Looks about right, I guess. But it's like today I was printing with this what is this? The polycarbonate, and I had to mess with settings quite a bit. I did get a thermal runaway the first time I tried to run this, but it was my fault. I left the fan on 100%, and anytime you have the heat bed at like a high temp, the fan will really cause you some problems. Oh, whoops, wrong one. There we go. Okay, so we're more or less set. Now, shooting with a DSLR is a bit of a pain in the ass. I still have not mastered it. Still not the master of it. Would never claim to be. The one they capture really nice images, but it becomes a little tough when you're trying to do video because the kind of like real-time autofocus is terrible on most DSLRs. There are ones like Tom has, which I wish I had one of those because it's essentially the same cost as my camera. It's just a little bit better for doing video. And like my camera is arguably better for doing photographs, but I would take that little bit of a trade-off on the photos that I take to have a little bit more practical of a setup for video. What USA made PLA filaments would I recommend off the top of my head? My go-to is AIO. I get it off of Amazon. There's probably other suppliers, but the AIO filament I believe is made in the USA, and also Protopasta. Like I've never disliked anything I've used from them. I think this natural PLA, the one that doesn't have any color in it, this is a Protopasta filament, and this, I think this is the rustable iron. This rustable iron is a Protopasta filament that has like metal powder in it. There's a spider crawling on my webcam, so you might see him at some point along. Nope, there he goes. Little creeper. But and then I think this polycarbonate is not Protopasta. That's from Polymaker, which Polymaker might be a domestic, like made in the USA. Also, I don't actually know, but this stuff was really easy to print with. I was kind of like nervous printing with what is it called? Polycarbonate. I was nervous printing with polycarbonate for the first time, but it was pretty effortless. As soon as I fixed the problem with the part cooling fan being too high, like it printed pretty effortlessly. You like the flies that attack New York from time to time. There he's going back up. So he might crawl across the lens at some point and creep some of you out, but let's give you a heads up. This is my lockpicking mat. You might have seen this in like an old video. This is just like a thing I sewed together. It's got like felt on the back and like, I don't know, like a filigree kind of pattern on the front. I don't know why. It's just like a tradition that I get this out when I'm picking locks. If anybody's wondering why I have a piece of cloth on top of my piece of cloth. I don't know what the hell's in the middle of it there, but damn it. All right. So, like I said, we hooked the audio up, which I think is functioning properly on the camera, but I don't know if we're actually going to need it at any point during this. So, I need to flip the screen out here. This is one super nice feature this camera has, is it has an articulating little screen here, which is going to be upside down, so it's going to be a little tough. And I guess we're going to move the camera close. And we want almost like a straight downward shot, but I'm not quite going to be able to get that. That looks reasonable, so we're going to tighten our tripod down. And like I said, one of the worst shortcomings this camera has is the autofocus. It's not the worst, but it's pretty bad. It's like some people, if you've ever watched people with their webcams, well, like whenever we have autofocus on this webcam when I'm streaming, it does like a scan with infrared sensors, and it'll like the whole scene will shift completely out of focus, and then it'll slowly like come back into focus, and sometimes go the other way and come back, and it like scans that depth until it finds the appropriate focus setting. And in video, it looks horrible. Like if you're taking photos, you never notice it because you only ever keep the ones that are in focus. But with video, it looks absolutely horrible, and I hate it. Are we picking locks for the apocalypse? Hopefully not. I mean, it's not a bad skill to have if the apocalypse happens, but that's not my intentions entirely. See, I think we have autofocus on here. And I have to kind of like find buttons by memory. That is not the right button. Yep, autofocus is on. So we're going to manual focus. And how you end up doing this is when you press the button, like to take a picture, it will essentially set the focus. Like it will do like an autofocus kind of thing, but then it'll never adjust it again. So we kind of need to oh no, I did the wrong setting. There we go. It's why I try not to like move a whole lot in the videos I shoot. If you've ever watched like the videos that I have done that are recorded and edited, because I actually have this giant box that I sit here about where my face is and adjust the focus to that, and then I have to move the box and sit here and like. I mean, I can move a little bit, but like I can't get up and walk around or everything will go out of focus. Set it for a fixed distance. Yeah, that's essentially exactly what we're doing. Like we just sent this to, like I know you guys can't see. And I do have a little bit of a shadow here that I don't like. So I'm going to shift these lights on the sides a little bit more. And you can see we kind of got rid of half of it there, and then and then the other half here, and I gotta tape this light a little bit so it doesn't fall. All right. I don't know why my throat's like starting to hoarsen. Is that a word, guys? Hoarsen? And I think we look kind of straight. We do have a little bit of shadow under, which is kind of unavoidable. Like if you have really nice light boxes, you can kind of eliminate some of that, but I don't. If you've never seen my lights, I just basically have like 10-inch can lights from Lowe's that I put parchment paper over for diffusion. Like if you see, there's one there. There's more than one up here and one over there. And I just do my best to get away with that. There's also this light here, but it's the same thing. Relatively inexpensive. What kind of camera and microphone? The DSLR here is a Nikon D5500, and the webcam is a 930E from Logitech. And so is this one, my secondary camera. Again, thanks to people like supporting me on Patreon, I got a second 930E, which is, yeah, that's what this camera is, which seems a little bit slow right now for some reason, but we can try to fix that. It keeps putting my setting window over here on my second monitor. That should be a little bit quicker. It's kind of like a strange balance to strike between the like exposure setting and the gain. It's like this kind of game you play. The the more exposed you want the video, it means like it refreshes less frequently. I guess that's how the webcams work. With like a DSLR, it means that whenever the shutter's open, it stays open longer to let more light in. And gain is kind of like amplifying that signal that it receives. So the longer you let the light in, the less frequently the image will update. So you get like if I would set this to really short exposure, it would be really quick, and there wouldn't be any like blurring like you're probably seeing there. But then it's dark as shit because it's not letting much light in. So it's a delicate balance to strike. Oh, see, this is like we do need to adjust something here. I'm glad it's that's why it's so tough sometimes. Like if I'd have recorded this video, it probably would have been unusable if I wouldn't have caught that. What was happening is if you can see the screen, it's like auto adjusting. Like if you look at this spot over here where that red box is, it's auto adjusting the light levels, which means anytime like a shadow shifts or something, it's likely to change like the overall brightness of your entire video, which I actually did in a video. I won't say which one, but if you go back and look at it, like it's pretty obvious that the settings weren't correct. There's another freaking spider. You can tell winter is slowly leaving us. That is the white balance. That's what that is. It was set to auto white balance, which can be catastrophic. I don't know why that's on. That's I see why immediately now. This is a big thing. Like cameras have this little dial here, right? And this is kind of where try to get this to focus. This is kind of where like the pros separate themselves from the amateurs. This was on auto. That's why that was doing that. Like you have your auto setting there, and then that's just like auto without flash. You have to actually go to the M, which is manual. If you go to the manual settings, it unlocks all kinds of options that you don't otherwise have. Like, if you look there now, like the white balance was set to auto, and now it's set to a preset, which, like I have a really, really flat color profile that I use so that you don't get any of the camera's like flavoring of the image, and then you can like adjust the color balance and stuff in post-processing, which makes it a lot easier. And the video setting, that was set to 1080p at 60 frames a second, which is stupid to record at for the most part. So we'll set it to 1080p at 30 FPS, which makes a whole lot more sense for the kind of thing that we're going to be doing here. And another thing is your shutter speed, like that 160 you see there. That means the shutter speed is like 1/60th of a second. And you generally want that to be 2 times whatever your current frame rate is. And that can prevent all kinds of... have I looked at alternate firmware for the camera? There's a lot of cameras where there's a lot of advantages to gain from alternate firmware, but there are no good alternate firmwares for this one. There are some, but it doesn't actually solve any of the problems that I have with it, so I haven't bothered. But yeah, your shutter speed should be twice whatever your frame rate is for video. That's like a great rule of thumb to go by. So if we're shooting at 30 frames a second, we're going to go with a 60th of a second. That way we're getting like 2 frame updates per frame of video, which will help everything sync a little bit better. And I think we're good other than that. Always like I hate to get into like all the stuff with the camera. Setting the ISO, you want the ISO to be as low as you can possibly get it, while still having the video be bright enough that you're capturing all the things that you want to capture. Because the higher your ISO is, the more noise you're going to have in the signal, because it's the camera actually like compensating for low light. So I think we solved most of our problems here. And like I said, it's kind of weird for me because I have this thing's upside down. So we're on manual focus. We're not really zoomed in too much. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And I know you guys can't see that, but you have to take my word for it. We're going to be working about right here. So I'm going to hold this lock here. And we're going to set that as our focus point. And I think we're good to go. We'll take some video here. And I'll probably do some voiceover on this video, but I probably won't end up using a lot of it. So we're recording on the camera. Hello, camera. And we'll lay our things out here. I wish the one piece didn't disconnect from the frame because it makes it a bit of a pain in the ass to move these around. And I'll shoot the intro and stuff, like I always do, about the same intro in my videos. Try to keep them really short. I'll do that separately. We'll do that another time. But okay, and this video is going to be upside down, which is kind of weird. Oh, I guess I need to adjust the zoom because these are actually flat on the table. Or the focus. Oh, I'm going to need some water in a minute. Okay, so here we have our 3 sets of lockpicks. We have one in an fuck. See, this is you've heard me complain about this before, like delivering audio, or like, sorry about the focus there. Delivering lines for me is always like so hard when I record. I don't know why. I can run my gums on stream like indefinitely, but recording is like the worst. So what are we going to say here? We have our natural PLA. We have the rustable iron. I'm pretty sure we're just going to say that's what it is. Nobody will know if it's not. It's one of the two. It's either the polishable stainless steel or the rustable. And I'm pretty sure it's the rustable. And polycarbonate. Links will be in the description. Okay. So, and let me center that just a little bit better. Okay. Let's get a drink of water before I get too far. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so here we have our 3 sets of lockpicks. It's the same file printed in 3 different filaments. We have our... Fuck. What is this? This is the natural PLA. Okay. So oh my god. So here we have metal-filled plastic. Deep breath. So here we have our 3 sets of lockpicks. This is the same file printed in 3 different filaments. We have a natural PLA from Protopasta. We have a rustable iron PLA from Protopasta. And then we have a polycarbonate from Polymaker. Okay. So here we have our 3 sets of lockpicks. This is the same file printed in 3 different filaments. We have one in a natural PLA, one in an iron fill PLA, and then one in a polycarbonate. See, that's easier. Less detail. The F filament. So, all right. And you can tell already this video is going to be all chopped to hell. Which is fine. Some videos it doesn't really matter, especially when you're not on cam. Because we'll just cut this to another shot. So what we're going to do today is test all of these and see if any of these materials give us a legitimate lockpick that we can actually use to pick a lock. So, done with that. Now we'll reset our zoom here. And I'm not actually going to cut this video. We're just going to let the recording roll. And you might be able to hear the DSLR. It's another problem if you're trying to record the sound with the camera's mics, is that the autofocus is really loud. It's surprisingly loud. So usually, like, the farther away you can have the microphone from the actual camera, the better it is, because it can be a serious issue. All right. So the first one we're going to try, I guess I'll get these all out. The first one we're going to try is the, see, that piece fell out, damn it. I'm going to hold it here like it's not disconnected. Then we'll pretend we're breaking it out. That's never going to work. So the first one we're going to try is the, son of a bitch. So the first one we're going to try is the natural PLA from Protopasta. This is printed out at a 0.2 millimeter layer height, or 200 microns, however you like to say that. And you can see we have 4 picks, and then there's a little tension wrench here in the side of the frame that we can break out. So we'll go ahead and disassemble this and get these ready. Oh, they actually don't break out that easy. I was expecting them to pop right out. PLA is usually super brittle. It'll break when you don't want it to. Yeah. So I guess we'll do this off camera. We'll clean these up a little bit. But I love the idea of this. Like I said, I think it would be sweet if you could actually print stuff like this and it would be functional, but I don't think that's kind of going to be the case. All right, they look fine. Clean these up. And I guess we can just lay these out nice. Cut all that crap out of the video. Because it is a nice little set. I mean, this is a... If these would function, this is more or less all anybody would need for, you know, a little hobbyist lock set. Or a pick set. And again, we have to change our focus. So the first locks... Oh my god. I turn into like the worst mush mouth. I hate it. So the first pick set we're going to play with here is the one in the natural PLA. And you can see we have a nice variety of picks. We won't really cover in detail what all these are, but we have 2 more or less basic picks, 2 sweep style picks, and then a triangle, which is kind of a specialist tool. Some people use it in place of like a regular pick, but a lot of people don't use them hardly at all. And then, of course, we have a tension wrench. So we're going to grab a lock here. We'll grab this cheap lock. Oh, let me get where we're going to focus this at. So I'm going to try to do everything right about here. And we'll shift our focus. Focused. All right. The first lock we're going to try to pick is this cheap-ass dollar store padlock. It doesn't even have a brand name on it. The only thing it really says on it is hardened, which it's likely that's not even hardened, which is funny, but that's how these cheap locks go. So the basic premise of lock picking is we're going to take our tension wrench, which does not fit in this lock, and we're going to shave this down a little bit just so we can try and use it. This is not a good start. If you had printed this out and you're out somewhere and you need to pick this padlock to reclaim your stolen motorcycle or whatever crazy situation you're in, that's not a good start. Yeah, that's not going to fit in there. So we shaved it down, and I think that's still not going to fit in there. Yeah, that is not going to fit in there. So we're actually going to just scrap... We're going to scrap the tension wrench and go ahead and use a real tension wrench. This is a tension wrench that I made for myself. You can see this is a hex wrench that I ground down to slim the tip, and then made a nice little wooden handle for it, so it's easy to hold on to. And you can see we want to slip this in the bottom of the keyway there, and this allows us to put tension on the cylinder there. I need to stay in the center here. So this allows us to put tension on the cylinder here. So we'll get that in there. And this isn't the ideal size tension wrench for this lock. But the first thing we're going to try is taking this more or less basic pick here and seeing if it even fits in the keyway. And it does, but you can see how just the ridiculous amount of flex we have in here. And we're not really even beginning to push the pins up in this lock. I mean, if I grab it up really, really close to the tip, I might be able to push a pin up. But I'm getting so little feedback from the lock that I can't really tell what's happening in there. All I really feel is my tension wrench, or my pick bending. Did we just pick that? That feels like that released a little bit, so maybe we can actually do some ghetto picking with this. This is awful. Like, if you were in a life and death situation with this, I think you'd just die. Let's turn it over and see if we can use it that way to just like push the pins up. Because this is not a hard lock to pick. I mean, I can't get any feedback at all about what's happening inside that lock. I can't feel anything. All I feel is this bending. So, I mean, this is pretty much a non-starter, it seems. We'll give it a try again, and then we'll move to one of the other picks. So it's hard to even get past the first pin. And I think that first pin in this lock is the one that sets first, and I don't think I can push it up far enough to actually set it. I think if you jam around in here long enough, you could pick it, but you could do that with a stick. You know what I mean? You'd probably be better off with a stick, because it'd probably be a little bit stiffer. Yeah. So let's move on to another one. That's not a good pick. It's just too soft. I'm surprised we didn't break it, but it's just way too flexible. And you see, we're basically at maximum thickness there. If we'd be any thicker, we wouldn't really fit in the keyhole. You could potentially make this a little bit wider, which I did try to do, but it didn't really seem to help a lot. So let's try one of these sweep picks. But I assume that these are just going to be too soft as well. So we're going to put this in here like that. And again, it's just too soft. Way too soft. It's if I actually push that hard enough that I'm putting a significant amount of tension on the pins, it's just bending like crazy. Kind of surprised. I guess it's a testament to this PLA that it didn't break. But you see, that's not good there. This is a similar pick to this one, but it has a thinner tip, so it's probably going to bend more. But we'll give it a try here. Maybe this one will magically work better than the other one. Definitely not. I can just feel that tip bending in there. So these are not good. The triangle, I think, is a little bit stiffer, but it's kind of oversized a little bit. Like that is a huge triangle pick, which might help us. It might actually let us push the pins in a little bit more. But same deal. Too flexible. Just way too flexible. Too flexible. And same with this thing, I can tell you already. Too flexible. I mean, it wants to bend even just like pushing the lock past, or the pick past the pins. So, regular PLA, not going to make you a good set of lock picks. Chuck Norris would just kick the lock and it would open. Probably. You can open a lot of padlocks with hammers, especially cheap ones like this. I think Bosnian Bill did a video on that. Like, if you actually smack them on both sides with a hammer, it'll compress the springs that hold the latch shut. And if you tug on it at just the right time, it'll pop open. All right. So let's try these. I think these have a little bit more potential. This metal-filled PLA, because I'm hoping it'll just flex a little bit less, be a little bit more rigid. I see these breaking if we stress them too hard. But we'll pop it out here, and we'll give it a go, because this is kind of a grainy filament. So I'd imagine it has some weak points in it, more so than the PLA. But I guess I'll just hold these. And we're going to reset the recording here, because I have a 20-minute limit on this DSLR, unfortunately. All right, so next we're going to try the ones that are made out of the Protopasta rustable iron. Hopefully these are a little bit more rigid. I'm thinking they might be, but I also think these are more likely to break than the regular PLA, but we'll give them a try. We're going to take the same lock. Again, our tension wrench does not fit. It's a little too wide. And this is a very standard size keyhole. And our tension wrench just does not fit in there. It's just not going to go. So go ahead and use a tension wrench that I have. And focus on testing the picks. And I'm not using a lot of tension on this. So we're going to start with the regular kind of medium hook here. And this feels a little bit better already. And it broke. It's just like I expected. This is a more rigid filament, but it broke. The tip broke off. Nobody wants their tip to break off. And there it is. It felt a lot better at first because I could actually feel what was going on inside the lock because it was more rigid, but then it snapped. Womp. Breaks the side of the lock. Who wants a drama-based MacGyver? Like, honestly. It sounds like crap. Alright, so next we'll try this, like, smaller hook. Maybe this one will be a little bit stronger. Probably not. It's probably going to break, but we'll give it a go. So we get in there. And I think we actually set a pin, which is a first. But yeah, it's just not a very strong material. And because of the shape of it, it doesn't really, it's a little oversized. I can't even get it to the back of the lock. I think we're catching, there we go. So we're in the back of the lock, and we'll see if we can set some pins in there. I think we set one. But again, I'm just getting almost no feedback because the tool flexes so much. And I'm afraid to apply much pressure to this because I know it's going to snap. So we'll reset the lock. And I can't push the pins up far enough. It just is flexing too much. And you can see it's not super obvious, but the tip is bent a bit compared to how it was when we started. I'm surprised it didn't just break. But it didn't quite break yet. But I just cannot get it past. I can't get past that last tumbler. And it's way too flexible. I mean, I kind of broke it on a little bit on purpose there, but just way too flexible. And you can see the tip had essentially broken off. That's why we kind of completely were failing. But looks like these aren't any better than the PLA. They're different, a little more rigid, but they're no better lockpicks, I don't think. Let's give one or two more of these a try, and then we'll move on to the polycarbonate. And this has the same problem. Like, I can't get enough. The way these work is you're putting tension on multiple pins, so it actually fares worse than the single pin picking picks, like the regular hooks and stuff, because this shaft just doesn't have enough strength to actually push more than one pin up at a time, which is how picks like this actually work. And I can just feel that I'm not pushing those pins up far enough. You could do this for days and never pick this lock, even if the pick wouldn't break. Which I'm doing all I can to keep this shaft from breaking. I mean, hell, I all but have my fingers inside the lock. So these are definitely no good. This is no bueno. This one feels a little bit better, but it's still just not enough. I can't get enough force on those pins. So, yeah. Fail number 2. Use air pressure. Tony, am I working the pins from back to front or front to back? I'm just not working the pins with these picks, unfortunately. Generally, like I do, like most guys do, I start at the back and work to the front. And then you kind of feel your way around from there to find out what order they need set in. But like with those picks, I had trouble even getting the pick to the back of the lock. Because I couldn't really get enough force transferred to the pins to push them out of the way. I could just feel like the tip of the tool in there bending. And you don't want to be bending your tip. You bend your tip, you're going to have a bad time. All right. And who is this polycarbonate by? Polymaker. Okay. So last, we're going to try these picks out of the polycarbonate from Polymaker. And again, because our tension wrench is not sized properly, we're just going to kind of discard that. And we'll go ahead and give these a try with the same cheap-ass lock that you can probably pick with a toothpick. I wish I had a toothpick on hand to demonstrate that, but this lock is painfully easy to pick. I could probably pick this lock with another tension wrench if I had a small one, but I don't have any of my small ones here with me. So this doesn't feel a whole lot better. These are also super flexible, but I'm hoping the polycarbonate is just a little bit tougher, so I can stress it a little more without it breaking. That's a good start. I think we set the second pin, just trying to get past it. But it has the same problem. Like when we get back in the lock, like we're back in there, what, maybe 3/4 of an inch? It just flexes way too much to actually push the pins. And I couldn't imagine trying to pick like a real lock. Like this isn't like a real lock. This is a dollar store lock. It's like one of the lowest security padlocks you'll probably ever encounter. And again, it just wants to flex. I can't push the pins up. And I'm putting almost no force on the cylinder here. I mean, I can't really go any lighter on this lock and still be picking it. It just isn't gonna, it's not gonna go. I can feel that. The first pin we can kind of pick because it's I can get so much leverage by grabbing this by the tip. My goodness. Oh, I feel another one. Snotting all over the place. Is that a hematoma? Bent tip hematoma? Sneezing like crazy. So we'll reset this here. Again, using as little pressure as I can on the tension wrench. And we're just never going to pick this lock. You'd probably have better luck grabbing a rock and hitting it like a caveman. Too soft. The tip is too soft. You can see there it takes very little pressure to make that flex. And I'm sure none of these are going to be any better. Nope, just too much flex. Way too much flex. But yeah, so it looks like these aren't any better. They're just still way too flexible. And short of making, the dimensions of this significantly larger, which is going to make them not fit in the vast majority of locks, I just don't really think this is a valid way to make lock picks, unfortunately. And then just for the sake of comparison, let me take like an actual lock pick and show you how easy it should be to pick a lock like this. Like I said, this is a regular carbon steel. A lot of these are made out of spring steel. And normally you just go in here and I can instantly kind of feel what this lock is doing. Because my pick is super rigid. And watch me not be able to pick this in a timely manner. It has been a while since I picked a lock, but... I maybe should have lubricated this lock. This lock has been sitting there for a while. But usually this lock is pretty easy to pick. Watch me talk all that shit and then not be able to pick it. This might be one that rotates the other way. That would be pretty goddamn funny. Or maybe this lock's just easier to pick the other way. I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with this lock. That doesn't feel right. Oh, there's a little piece of that pick in there. I was going to say, that doesn't feel quite right. I didn't realize a piece of that polycarbonate pick broke off. All right, let's give this a go. But was that Tony that was asking? Lube always helps. Generally, when I'm picking a lock, I put the pick the whole way back in and then pull forward until you feel the first pin in the back. And then just work your way up through and have a feel at what the lock is telling you. This lock's telling me it's a piece of shit and it's manufactured really poorly. I think that's the general message I'm getting from this one. Maybe this wasn't the best lock to start with. I kind of think there's a piece of one of these picks jammed in there. Let's try one of the regular master locks. Maybe we'll have to get those picks out again and give kind of a normal lock a try. Yeah, there must be. I mean, you can see I'm not that bad at picking locks. There must be something wrong with that lock. We might have jammed it up with something. I think there's something wrong with that lock. There, a little piece of metal just came out. So if that's the case, let's try the master lock then with one of these. We'll give him another shake here. So we'll try again. We'll take 2 of these PLA picks, and we're going to try to pick this master lock with it. Again, the tension wrench is kind of grossly missized for the most part, and it is not going to fit in this lock. And if your tension wrench doesn't fit in a master lock, your tension wrench isn't worth having. Honestly. Viagra cures a soft tip. Try the key in it. I don't have a key for any of these locks. Especially that cheap one. These are a little thick for this keyway. That's a little too thick for that keyway. So is this one. Let me grab some sandpaper. But you kind of see, like, here we are. What? We should be 2/3 of the way through recording this footage. And we've kind of hit a point where, we kind of want to redo the video almost. Because something came up where, the footage we got initially might not be really what we're looking for. Because, like, if I can pick this lock, which I doubt I can. So there we sanded that a bit and thinned it out. Which is probably just going to make it weaker, unfortunately. And we'll go ahead and do this one too. And if any of you have sanded PLA, you know that I'm not taking much material off of this doing this. PLA is so damn hard. Okay, so we're going to come in here. With our natural PLA. And try to work the pick to the back of the lock. And again, there's just something about these picks that they don't want to work past the pins. And again, like, once I'm in the back of the lock, I just don't have enough leverage. It just wants to bend. I can't really push that. Like, after we just picked this, I know that last pin is the one that sets first. And I just can't put enough pressure on it to push it up into what's called the Bible. And there, the tip broke. So let's give this one a try. Natural PLA. And we got to the back of the lock, and there is not a chance in hell I'm going to set that back pin. There's just no way. So, yeah, real picks are the way to go. Arc it with electrical current. I don't think I have enough current around here. But you can see, then with yep, it's like pin 4, pin 3, pin 1, pin 2. And this lock opens right up. Like, most master locks are, like, comically easy to pick. And then, this is a real, what I would call a quote-unquote real padlock. This has some serrated pins and 2, what are they called, barrel pins. And this lock, I can't pick reliably. Especially lately, I haven't had any time to sit and practice picking at all, really. And this lock is actually fairly tough to pick. Because this is I'm not even going to sit here, because it usually takes me a little while to pick this. This is I think a five tumbler lock, and it has 3 serrated and 2 spindle pins, or yeah, spindles, I think. But there is not a chance in hell you'd ever pick this Brinks lock with one of these. So unfortunately, it looks like 3D printing your own lock picks is pretty much a pipe dream. I guess we could try this polycarbonate here before we totally give up. I guess there's an off chance, especially this short one, just because it's probably a little bit tougher than the long one. And again, I mean, keep that in mind. We even know how to pick this lock. We know that we have to set that back pin first, and I can't even get to it. I can't get past that back pin. Because I think that tip wants to flex instead of pushing past it. Maybe we can put it the other way and get it in there. I don't think so. No, it's just too soft. Too soft. Womp. So, yeah. Like I was kind of suspecting. Get them all together here, all the little pieces. So as we kind of suspected, 3D printing your own picks is just not something any of us should really be doing, especially when you can get actual picks relatively inexpensively. And you see here, even with all of these, even if we grab them all together, it's still just really easy to flex them. They're so flexible. So hopefully, like I said, I might come back. We might come back to that video. It all depends when you pull it into your editing software. Like I use Sony Vegas, and it's always like a reality check when you actually pull the recorded video you have into your software, because you pretty quickly know whether you have all the footage you need or if there's other shots you wish you would have taken. And like this video didn't quite go as well as I thought it might. We can try let me take a look at the remix. Because I'm pretty sure, wasn't that a remix already? Maybe it wasn't. Where did you see the remix, Aaron? Cause I have the one we used pulled up, but I don't is the remix tied to this one somehow? I don't see it in the remix area. I don't have my keyboard either, which is not helping. All right, let's check out the remix. Summary: after trying to work the original, were either too fit to fit the lock slot or too thin and flexible. Let me pull this over to my desktop. We can take a look at this one. Let me share my screen briefly if I can manage to do that. Where's my mouse? This just doesn't look significantly different. It looks like he tried to thicken the shafts, but this area back here wasn't really a problem. The problem is that the tips themselves are just too thin. And that doesn't look really any thicker than the one we have. I mean, I could be wrong, but like I said, sometimes something's wrong in a way that you might be able to fix it with like a little bit of tweaking. But I think these are so ridiculously far from being functional lockpicks that a little bit of tweaking isn't really going to like save them. $1.21 gigawatts. I had thought, like I saw Tony mention a bucket of liquid nitrogen. I had thought maybe like freezing or cooling these might make them a little bit more rigid, but it'd probably make them more brittle too. But no, I mean, I think maybe at some point I'll try to, maybe I'll go ahead just for the sake of completion and print the remix out. But it's just like these. I can pretty accurately predict how that session's going to go before we even start, unfortunately. And it's mainly because I've had a lot of experience with lockpicks, and like I said, even cheap steel makes shitty lockpicks that'll break and bend too easily. Summary said he tested these with a master lock. I mean, it could be. The problem is ABS is even more flexible. ABS would be less likely to break, but the braking, I know it's funny to say, like, obviously braking is bad, but the braking isn't really the problem. The braking, or the problem is the flexing. Meester, do I support the PVV? I do not know what the PVV is. But yeah, because ABS is like way more flexible. I did get you guys, we were messing with crossbows. I did print a larger one of these in this was that filament that we went to try before a long time ago, and I didn't want to try because it seemed weird. Oh, the Omni. This is printed in the Omni from Algix 3D. I guess that's how you say that. Algix. That's white as hell. We can't read it. But this is like an Omni that's supposed to have the benefits of ABS and PLA, and it printed out really nice. And you can see it's like plenty flexible. I was able to put more tension on this than anything, even the ABS. And it prints out really clean, kind of like the PLA ones did. And I don't really have anything here to shoot, but I scaled this up about 20% from the original. Like here's the original one we printed in ABS, which works fine. But you can see this one's scaled up about 20%. And you can shoot Bic pens with this one. And like I said, I don't have any here. Let me find a pen. My X-Acto knife also fits, which is kind of terrifying. Like here's a cardboard filament box, and it's not too bad. I mean, that's not like you're not going to kill any varmints with that, but that's not too bad for a little 3D printed crossbow. And I think if you'd actually use rubber here instead of string, you could get a little bit more power out of it too. And the pen won't quite stick, but... And the pen's also balanced poorly in there, but... What, that's about 18 inches away. Maybe there's about 18 inches. And it's not quite enough to stick in, but it does... I don't know, that would, you'd feel that if somebody'd shoot you with it. But yeah, these are a lot of fun. I had this one upstairs shooting straws at my wife. She did not think that was too funny, but I had a blast. And it's like I said, it's slightly terrifying with the X-Acto knife in there. You'd definitely feel that if somebody shot you with it. It doesn't have enough. That thing's kind of heavy. But shoots pens pretty good. guess I really don't want to hit my webcam with that, but yeah, that went about 15 feet, I'd say. But I guess that's about it. Like I said, I just wanted to roughly cover the process. I get a lot of questions because what would happen now is now that we're done with the DSLR or done-ish, like you'd still have to record your like intro and outro and kind of describe what you're doing with your video. But what we do then is just take our cameras, hook it to the PC with USB cable, pull all our video files in, and import them into your video editing software, which there's a lot of options available. There's a lot of different things that people use. I know people that have several million subscribers that still use Windows Movie Maker, so you don't have to feel any obligation to buy any super expensive software if you don't want to. And then the editing process is like a whole nother kind of bag of worms. There's a lot of different approaches to editing. I try to keep my edited videos, like, some people think they're like comically short. Like a lot of my tutorials are as short as I could conceivably make them. Some people think they're too short. I like to keep them as brief as possible and literally say no other words than the words that need said to explain what's going on. But yeah, that's the basic process. There's a lot of troubleshooting that you end up having to do that's a pain, that's a little bit difficult to cover. Frederick, I use Sony Vegas, and it's not really because I think it's the best. Like with any software, you kind of get in that situation where I had just invested so much time in Sony Vegas, like learning it, that it's tough to move to something else because I basically have to re-spend all of that time learning a new piece of software. Like I actually have a family member who got me the Adobe Creative Suite like a year or two ago, and I've had that for a while, and I just can't justify, like, it's crazy to me that it's software that does essentially the same thing that Sony Vegas does, but it's so different. Like, you need to completely relearn it. Like, all your shortcuts are different. All of the menus and dialogues and the way all of the functions are nested into the program are like super different. And it's just hard to really justify investing a whole bunch of time learning new software that's going to essentially get you the same results when it's all said and done. So, I mean, like, I have a preference. Like, I prefer Sony Vegas because I'm familiar with it, but like as far as like the quality of the program and stuff, it's basically whatever you want to invest the time to use and invest the money in getting. But yeah, it's a tough decision to make for sure. That's why I just recommend like people start with whatever they have available and kind of get the ropes of editing and stuff, because it is a little daunting at first. Sony Vegas. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little like stuffy for some reason. Sony Vegas. But I like it. It works well. There are some things in Vegas that I don't like. All software should offer custom overlays. That would be nice. That would be nice. Like Sony Vegas, like some of the things that I don't like, I don't like how you have to scale things in Sony Vegas. It's really, really stupid the way they do it. Like I used to manually do the outros for the videos on another channel I had, and like I would want two mini videos playing so you could overlay links on them and like link to those videos, and it would probably shock you how you had to do that. Like in a lot of software, you could just like drag that media in and like resize it with little drag things, and it wouldn't be that hard. But in Sony Vegas, it's really, really stupid how they do it, and I hate it. But that's not the only thing. There's a lot of things I don't like about Sony Vegas. But like I said, the little bit of time I spent trying to learn other software, it quickly becomes apparent that like, man, I'm gonna have so much time invested in learning this. Like, I don't know if I can justify it. It's tough. It's definitely tough. But I know like one of the hard things for people is equipment. It's hard to get started with equipment. Uh, like I showed you guys, like I have a mixing board and stuff that I think normally this is like a $200 or almost $300 mixing board that I got like super cheap. And like you can get away with a much smaller one. I mean, with this one, I have like 6 XLR inputs and then like 4 other channels that you can use other inputs with, which is a little excessive for the stuff I do. But it's nice to have it. I have used it a few times where I had like 3 or 4 people mic'd up and it was like no problem. Because I have a couple of these mics, and you can use another reason I would recommend people don't get a Yeti is it's really hard to expand that. Like when I had the Yeti and I was only like doing like my own voice and stuff, it wasn't too bad. But being that it's like a USB input, it's kind of hard to expand that. Like when we started doing a podcast and I had 2 other people with me, it was a huge pain in the ass. When we actually had a little bit of money that we got together and we wanted to buy extra mics and kind of like add them to the setup with the Yeti already, it was really hard to do. And that's why it was like we ended up making the jump to XLR mics, which made it a lot easier because you can scale that like very easily. But then, like if you guys, if you weren't aware, like the USB Yeti, you have to have hooked to a computer, which blows my mind. Like I thought maybe you could just like hook it up with USB and power it over like USB, but it has to actually, it's a USB device. It has to actually be recognized as a USB microphone by like a computer, like a Windows or something like that, before it even functions as a microphone. So like for a little while we had the Yeti hooked up to a laptop, and then like there's a headphone monitor that you can use, and we were using that line out to go into the mixer and stuff, and it was kind of noisy. It wasn't a very clean signal. And yeah. It gets a little tough sometimes. But more than likely, I just, this stream was kind of for shits and gigs. More than likely, I won't even leave this up on the channel. Like at some point, I'm going to do a video about like the actual like recording process. I don't think this ended up being that good of a video to show that. This video kind of sucked. I was hoping, I don't know. It's like I said, like doing videos is kind of tough because there we recorded this, but in hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have used this lock. I wish I would have used this master lock to begin with, because I think there's something wrong with this freaking lock. And I don't know if it was that way before we started or if it's like I'm kind of suspecting that a part of one of these picks broke off and is jammed in there somewhere. Because I can't even seem to pick this with my normal pick and stuff, which is not hard. Like that pin feels like it's jammed for some reason. Something just feels weird in there. Like there's a piece of that PLA jammed up in between those pins or something. It's not good. It just kind of weirds me out that I can't pick this. This is such an easy lock to pick. I mean, I know picking locks puts wear on them, but not when your picks are that soft. I think we just got something stuck in there. Because it's not behaving correctly. Yeah, it feels like pin 3 is jammed or something. I think it's effed up. Yep, I think we trashed that lock. And of course, you can't really see in there. But I think there's something stuck in there. So in hindsight, like I said, I don't know if we did that, if this lock was like that before we started. I don't think it was, because I used to use this as a practice lock. So in hindsight, I wish we would have done all that footage with this master lock, and now we didn't. And to redo the whole thing, I broke half the picks. And you start to see some of the problems you run into recording videos. It can be a pain sometimes. A user menu of hundreds of potential scenarios. Some programs offer like modifiable menus, but it's definitely not a feature that's common, especially in the programs that you kind of wish it would be. Like, I don't think Vegas offers you any options like that at all. Like, literally zero, which kind of sucks. But yeah, like I said, I probably won't leave this stream up. This didn't go quite the way I was hoping it would. But sometime soonish, I do want to go over like the processes and software and stuff that I use, because I get a lot of questions about that. Test locks before recording. Like I said, it's been a few weeks since I tried to pick this lock, but this was a functioning lock before. And I might have a key for it somewhere, but I doubt it. It might be laying back here. Let's see if I can find it. No, I don't. I have one pair of master lock keys, but they probably go to this one. Yeah, they go to this lock. I generally don't keep lock keys. Like this lock, one of the first things I did was threw the keys away, because I knew it was going to be hard to pick. Or I didn't throw them away, but I put them away where they're not easily accessible. I'm not sure where they are. They used to be in here, but I must have moved them. But they're around. But probably not for this cheap lock. This is a dollar store lock. But oh, my throat is killing me now. But you can see how video recording videos can go. That's why, like, when people ask why I'm not like more productive with videos, like, there's a million reasons why it's hard to knock videos out reliably. And it's one of the reasons I have a ton of respect for guys who, particularly the guys that do videos daily. A lot of the guys that do like super frequent content, there's a reason why their formatting is relatively simple. Like guys that just basically set their camera up and talk to it for a while. That makes things a lot easier to not have to like set up a bunch of different shots and worry about like getting footage correct the first time without doing reshoots and all kinds of bullshit. But yeah, it's why I have a lot of respect for those guys, and why I think most people should have a lot of respect for those guys. Like, even if you don't like the stuff they're doing, it is tough to do it. It is definitely tough to consistently put out decent content. It's one of the reasons I like streaming. Streaming is a hell of a lot easier. I mean, even streaming isn't the easiest thing in the world. There's still like a lot of technical stuff you have to deal with, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. But like in the grand scheme of things, like streaming is significantly easier than recording videos to me. And I think a lot of people think it's the opposite, where because you have more control over the recording process, that recording is easier than streaming. I've definitely got a lot of that. Like when I was first starting out, like I got a bit of backlash from that. Like people were like, "What's easier to record?" It's like, well, you'd think that. But to me, it's a hell of a lot easier to just set a camera up and talk to it and stream that on the internet. But especially, like, I like to have multiple cameras and stuff, which kind of exponentially increases like the technical difficulties that you can run into. Just the things that are kind of trivial in the grand scheme of things. Like having to reset the color settings every effing time I start up OBS and stuff is kind of a pain. And if your channel gets really big, the chat turns really awful. Yeah, I think we all got a dose of that the other day with Tom's stream. I assume, is Tom streaming now? We lost about half our people. I assume like someone started streaming. But that's another thing. There's always, like, when you're trying to do stuff, there's always going to be guys bigger than you that kind of drown you out just because they're better to watch a lot of times. But it's just kind of part of it. Like, I always try to keep it in context. You know, I've only been streaming for a few months, so I can't really expect much. I've already had, like, more success than I ever anticipated I would have. So, like, I'm happy. I just needed to keep finding more and more time to learn how to do things better and keep like progressing things so things don't get stale, or you know. But yeah, I'm about done anyway. So if Tom started streaming, I'll probably jump off, clean things up, and probably go watch his stream for a little bit. It kind of shocked me when I got on yesterday. I don't know if it was like out of desperation because his chat was out of control, but he apparently made me a moderator on his channel at some point, which is kind of cool, I guess. I mean, I've never really talked to Tom directly. I've asked him a few questions in his like stream chat, but beyond that, I guess it's good that he trusts me or whatever. But yeah, as always, like, thanks for coming and hanging out with me for a little bit. Hopefully, like I said, it's always a reality check when you pull your recordings into your editing software. So hopefully I don't have a shitstorm of a surprise waiting for me when I pull that stuff in. Hopefully I got enough usable to put a little video up. Because it's nothing profound, obviously. Some 3D printed lockpicks, but hopefully there's enough in there to put a coherent video together and kind of comment on the whole concept, which I think I already made my opinions kind of known, but yeah, we'll do a little video on it. Probably won't be up for a little while, but if you see that video, you'll know where some of the footage came from, and also might be kind of amusing to anyone who was here for this stream if you end up seeing that lockpicking video and it's completely different from everything we recorded here. You'll know, like, I took a look at it and it was basically a bunch of shit and recorded all of it again. So anything I recommend for laser adhesion? It kind of depends on the filament. Generally, like, I've seen, it's like anything, which is frustrating. I've seen conflicting information. In my experience, if you can lay layers down a little bit hotter, they seem to bond a little bit better. But then I've seen guys that say the opposite. So, but in my experience, that's been the case. Like with these lockpicks, I printed them a little bit hotter. I think like 5 or 10 degrees hotter than I would normally print PLA. Or do you mean like your first layer adhesion? Like for general adhesion on your heat bed, I would just recommend like the basic stuff. Make sure your bed's clean off with alcohol. Make sure, like, if you do have a heated bed, try upping the temperature a little bit. Like I was having some problems at like 50 degrees Celsius on the heat bed, and then I moved to 60, and I've never had a problem since. And make sure your Z height's adjusted. I mean, the regular old checklist of stuff. Because if you're, if any of those is off a little bit, it's going to cause you problems. But a lot of, just basic stuff. Make sure you wipe your bed down with alcohol. Make sure your Z height's correct. Try upping your temp a little bit. But hairspray, and then there's some guys that use hairspray, but I've never had to use that with PEI, so that's up to you if you want to try something like that. But all right, guys, I'm gonna run. Probably check out Tom's stream, and thanks for hanging out. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm not sure what we're going to do. I know what we're going to do. We're going to try some acetone smoothing with the ABS print we did, so we'll try that tomorrow. Hopefully that'll be fun, but I'll see you guys then.